So, you already know that your visual branding isn't just pretty, it's powerful. And I'm going to be sharing today 6 points that's going to help you understand the impact of your visual branding and how to make sure that it aligns with the quality of your services. So, today's topic is your visual branding is speaking. It speaks before you do. All right. Hey there. Hey, everybody. This is Sharvette Mitchell. I am the CEO of Mitchell Productions. And listen, we help you position your expertise, get more visible, and make more money. That's the short story of it. And we're glad to have you here today. So, listen, we're broadcasting live over in Marketing Tips with Sharvette, which is our Facebook community. So I'm going to just make sure that everyone there knows that we are here and live. We are excited to have those of you that are watching, certainly with us from a couple different places. But the original broadcast is over in Marketing Tips with Sharvette, and so we're glad to have you here and here to have this conversation around visual branding. And so what do we mean when we talk about visual branding? So there's really two components to branding. And there's a lot of conversation that always goes on around, well, what is branding? What is personal branding? And the reason why that those questions come up is because if you go and you Google the word branding or even personal branding, you're going to get a lot of different responses because it has evolved over the years. But for this conversation today, I want you to think about your brand and, in particular, your personal brand, because I'm focusing our conversations on those of you that provide professional services. You are providing services that are largely based off of your expertise and your knowledge. So, realtors, accountants, therapists, life coaches, career counselors, leadership experts, all of those in that arena. Now, if you don't fall squarely in those buckets, that doesn't mean you stop watching, you stop listening. There's definitely nuggets for you to pull on here. But there are two components of your brand, or two sides of your brand, if you will. So there is the visual side, so what people actually see. That's what we're going to deal with today. So that's visual branding. But then the other part of branding is really not the visual part. It is the promise that your business or your service or your company makes in the marketplace that you repeatedly, you over and over and over again, you deliver on. So that entails like your brand story, why you are doing the type of work that you're doing, and again, the brand promise that you're making. But we're going to deal with the visual aspects of your visual branding. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. If you are a note taker, this is a good place, a good space to make a note, to take a note as we talk about our topic today. Your visual branding speaks before you do. Oh boy! All right, so point number one, and again, hey, welcome, Yolanda. We see you. We see you coming on in, and we see those of you that are here. Shout out to those that may be listening to this on the podcast version or the YouTube version. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, so point number one in this conversation is that first impressions happen before the first word. That's the first thing I want you to kind of sink your teeth into. The first impression for your business, for your service, is happening before you even say a word. And so before there's a click, before there's even a listen, before there's even someone buying something, they see first. Before a click, before a listen, before a buy, they see. And so your visual branding is already making a statement about your professionalism, about your confidence, about the expertise and the transformation that you are bringing to and for customers. It's already doing that. And so whether someone is on your website, whether they're on your Instagram, profile, whether they are seeing your Zoom background, whether they see, your branding from a PowerPoint presentation because you're about to speak, people are judging your brand presence instantly. All right, so let's just start there. That's why this conversation that we're having today about your visual brand speaking and your visual branding speaking before you do is so important, because there's a judgment call that's being made on your business simply by what people see. All right, so that's the first place. Hey, Nah, glad to have you and joining us on in here. All right, so point number two, again, if you are a note taker, so let's move into a tactical thing. So we've all kind of level set and said, all right, so we're being judged based off of what people see, right? So tactically, here's a tactical thing I want you to think about. Number two, your brand photos are really like a stage for your business. Your brand photos, the photography that you're using is going to grab people's attention because what is the age old saying, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words. And so, yes, you can use stock photos, but they don't really tell the story of your business and the story of your brand like professional brand photography does, because that's going to show the real you, the polished you. All right, the polished you, but the real you. And brand photography is going to build trust faster. So let me stick a point here because I don't want to assume that everyone kind of knows what I mean when I say brand photography. So some of you may saying, "Well, Sharvette, I have headshots. Is that brand photography?" Yes, that's one piece of it. So if you have one or two headshots, yes, that's kind of starting your photography because that's a part of your brand. But guess what? I want you to think about all of the places that you need photography. You need photography for everything. So listen, I pulled out a few things here. So those of you listening to the podcast, you might want to jump over to YouTube and check this out. You need photography for everything. So I'm holding up a trifold, a folder that I have. Literally, you see, instead of using a graphic, I was able to pull in a picture from a photo shoot. It's got my logo here, and the inside is hot pink. We'll talk about brand colors in a moment. Brand photography. I am huge on having your picture on your business card. I am like, this is an inside pro tip here. I have done this for years. And so you might say, well, why do you do that? I'm going to give you a prime example. We're talking about photography as this kind of point too. I went to an event this week. These are business cards that I received, right? These are business cards that I received, all right? I'm going to have to kind of remember who I met, who they were, if I didn't make notes. But guess what? Out of all those business cards I just showed you, one person had her picture on the card. If I go back three months later to this stack of business cards, I'm going to remember her first. So your photography is everywhere. So pro tip, put your picture on your business card. Listen, I have, look at this, bookmarks. What am I using? Picture. Those of you that are doing packaging, you need photography for packaging. You need photography all up and down social media. You need photography for your website. You need photography for different types of flyers and graphics. So, brand photography is really like a stage for your business. So, this is the second point here that I want to make sure when you're thinking about my visual brand, that brand photography is a core, really a cornerstone for you. And so these personal pictures and photos are really going to help you convert higher, than a generic stock photo, right? Because people want to see the expert behind the message. They want to see the expert behind the business. And that's what you want to do with brand photography. Welcome to those that are coming on in. We are chatting today. Your visual branding speaks before you do. And I'm sharing 6 points here, talking points to help you just make sure your visual branding is connecting really with the services that you provide, and not distracting your audience. And so that's one reason why with our platform builder clients that we work with in the platform builder program, over a 12-month period, we do a full brand photo shoot. Yolanda is in the audience here. She can attest to that. We do a full brand photo shoot, and it's not just headshots. It is photography that they can use in all of these various aspects that I just talked about. So for your visual branding, you absolutely want to have brand photography. It is like a stage for you. So let's move on to number three. So as we talk about visual branding and how it's speaking and doing work for you before you even open up your mouth or before they click a button and find out more about you. Associated with your visual branding would be colors, your brand colors. And your brand colors should be chosen with intention. And so typically brand colors are 2 to 5 specific colors that you're using on everything related to your business and your company. I want you to think about the Dollar Tree. They're selling $1.25. item. I know some things are higher. It doesn't matter if you go to Dollar Tree in Ohio, if you go to Dollar Tree in Wichita, Kansas, if you go to Dollar Tree in Montana, their bags are white and green, right? So as a business, your colors should be consistent. Your brand colors aren't just cute. They actually communicate a mood, they communicate a vibe, and your colors are either attracting or confusing your ideal clients. They're either attracting or confusing your ideal clients. So you might say, Sharvette, well, what is an example of like confusing your ideal clients? Let's just say that the service that you offer, you have a large majority of men that purchase the service. Well, if your brand colors are lavender and pink, those colors in general do not attract or say to a man, okay, yeah, this is for me. That would be a confused consumer there. So that's just a simple example of making sure that your brand colors are not confusing but attracting your clients. And so my brand colors are very evident: navy blue, hot pink. We have a little bit of gold, and then a little bit of kind of a sea blue. And the reason why I picked those colors because there are psychology points behind colors. You don't have to get too deep into it, but if you have actually my website planner, I have a whole listing of the meanings of colors, like the psychological meanings of colors. But when I first started in business, oh gosh, going back to 2007, 2008, I started as a web designer. Well, guess what? In that space, there were so many people that would come to me and say, well, I started a website project and the person disappeared, or I started, a website project and they didn't finish it, or there was just a lot of bad vibes in this kind of web design and even in the graphic space. So I chose navy blue as one of my core colors. What does navy blue mean? It's trustworthy, it's calming. That is specifically why that color is a part of our brand. Now we have the hot pink, right? Because we cater to women in business, and that color is going to immediately like gravitate and catch a young lady's or a woman's eye. It's also exciting, and so we've got that stable, consistent piece, but also there's some exciting pieces mixed in there. So that's just a little bit about colors. The core thing there is you want to have 2 to 5 colors that you're using across everything, because colors really influence perception, and your audience is either going to feel drawn in or they're going to feel repelled based off of simply the colors that you're using. And so let's move on to number 4, actually, which is tying in and kind of talking more around this piece of consistency. And so my fourth kind of talking point for you is that consistency in your visual branding builds credibility. Consistency in your visual branding, it is building credibility. And so whether someone sees, a reel that you did, a flyer that you posted or had printed out and handed to them, a business card, an email signature, a presentation, a retractable banner at a vendor booth that you have, it should all feel like you. Ooh, let me let that like just sit in there. It should all feel like your business. And so some of the things I just lifted up, right? Like we've got the folder here that I lifted up. Listen, even with brand photography, I forgot this is one of our books that we have from one of our actual past events. Um, the packaging that I held, it all feels like me, right? You're gonna see even some of our books that we've produced and that have the pictures on the back, right? It's gonna all feel like me and feel like Mitchell Productions, I should say more specifically. Even some of the things we have, this is a magnet that invites people to Marketing Tips with Sharvette, the Facebook community. Join us over there at heygirlhey.today. So the key thing around all of your visual branding, tying in your colors and your photography and logos and things of that nature, is that it should all feel like you, and it doesn't matter where the person is experiencing you, because your brand is multidimensional. There is a brand that people see online, but guess what? When they meet you in person, it should still be consistent. You shouldn't look amazing in person and have a trash online brand. Vice versa, you shouldn't have an amazing online presence and then when people see you in person or experience your business in person, it's like, So visual consistency also makes your business recognizable. And that's what you want, right? That's really all, what all of this is largely for, is that people recognize you. And if they recognize your business, they're going to remember your business. And then that's going to give them a higher likelihood that they're going to engage when they need your services. And so the more consistent your brand looks, the more legitimate it feels. All right, let me say that again. The more consistent that your brand looks, the more legitimate it feels. And so I invite you to be thinking about, hey, I need to, do a brand audit. I need to really take an outside view and look in at my brand to see what does it feel like for people holistically. And again, across all dimensions, online, offline, across all platforms, because people travel around in your brand. And I want you to think about, a lot of people that are in the service based industry, we get a lot of referrals, right? We get customers because of referrals. Well, what happens when somebody refers somebody? What do they do? Oh, you need to go work with, Angela Scott. Go check her out. Well, what do? They're going to Google her, or they're going to go try to find her on Facebook. That's when the initial impression and the visual branding kicks in for this first impression. And again, what are we talking about today? Your visual branding speaks before you do. And we want it to be saying the right things and giving the right impressions to our potential customers and our potential clients. All right, so let's move on to number 5. If you're taking notes, your graphics are a mini billboard. That's how you want to think about any type of graphics. And so, what are graphics? They can be posts that you have on social media, they can be printed flyers, printed postcards. Here's the thing, each post, each slide, each promotional graphic is a chance to elevate your brand and not distract from it. In sloppy visuals or amateur looking visuals send the wrong message about what you offer. And so this is a place, and this might sting. This might sting, but a lot of times people will try to cut corners and say, "Well, I'm going to do my own flyers. I'm going to create my own flyers. I'm going to design my own social media graphics." And I just want you to pause and think: is that the best use of your energy? Is that where your zone of genius is? Would it be better to outsource that and pay a graphic artist between $50 and $150 to create the graphic for you? Because if it gives you polished graphics versus something that's sloppy, it's going to pay off in the long run. And so you want to be thinking about, that your graphics that you're using, printed or online, should be clear, they should be cohesive, and they should be branded. So they're going to tie in your brand colors, tie in your photography, so that the graphics position you and your business as premium services. So let me just give you an example, and these are actually for client examples. So I am managing marketing, outreach, media attention for a social justice project for veterans, and it's around providing grief recovery services. And so here you can see a professionally done, flyer of this, but then there was also postcard, right? Notice the brand colors: purple, a little bit of a lavender, a green. Notice how all of these look and feel like Forever Heal. Shout out to foreverheal.com. If you're a veteran, jump over there. There's some amazing services for you if you're in the city of if you're in Virginia. But notice how these graphics, polished, consistent. If you see them, they all feel the same. That kind of ties back to the other point, right? But these were done. Shout out to Allison Arnett, the graphic designer for these. And so don't inch out on this point. Have your graphics professionally done, unless you do a good job. Unless you do a good job. But, I'm just going to argue, if you're a professional and some of these professional service providers, I'm just going to argue whether that's the best use of your time. And if they look polished when you're done. Like if you spent 5 hours in Canva, shout out to canva.com. We love Canva. If you spent 5 hours in Canva and it still looks like your 6-year-old did the flyer, that's not the best use of your time. And a lot of times you get frustrated by it. So outsource that, because again, the graphics, you want to be positioned as a premium service, and something as simple as having a graphic designer create your graphics and create your flyers just takes your visual branding up a notch. As we talk about, your visual branding speaks before you do. All right, and so let's go to the sixth and final point here as we talk about this topic of visual branding. And again, visual branding, the platform builder program that we have, we work with clients with over a 12-month period. There's actually a comment that's pinned there. So if you're interested in learning more about the platform builder program, again, the 12-month program, you can jump over to platformbuilder.biz or click the link that's pinned in the comments there, wherever you are checking this out. And you can learn more and get on our wait list to hear about the next enrollment for that. But the six-part framework that I have, which is trademarked, you know, the second level of that is all around visual branding and all around, this information and making sure that clients visually look the part so that they can attract who they are trying to attract and not distract them. Now, let me stick a point here. This is not to say look amazing and then you don't deliver on your services, you don't have good turnaround times. No, the core of your business is the core of your business, so nail that. I'm talking to the people who you're actually making a self-assessment and hey, what we really deliver, if you kind of look at us, it's not matching up. And so we want to help you move up in that space and be more of a premium looking brand to match the premium services that you offer. Okay, point number six. Oh, some of you are gonna be like, I knew you were gonna talk about this, Sharvette. Yeah, as your marketing coach, as your marketing consultant, as your confidence igniter, we got to talk about video. So video branding is like it equals instant connection, and so you can't beat the connection that people and potential customers and leads get when you incorporate video as a part of your visual branding, and because video content lets people see you, it lets them hear you, and then more importantly, it lets them feel your energy. And so if you then pair that with a strong visual brand, it's just going to help make your business more unforgettable and more recognizable. And so video, did you know that video builds trust 5 times faster than static content? What do we mean by that? Like just a few words that you might type, or even a picture, or even a graphic. We want all of that to be top notch, but guess what? Video beats all of that like 5 times faster. And so, things that you can do to take up the visual branding element of your videos is you can do things like adding branded overlays. So if you ever watch the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, and some of you that are listening to this in the podcast version, you're on here for that. That you'll see that we have our videos have branding in the background, branding around the edges. You can even in Zoom have a branded background. If you're doing, some of you are doing Zoom and streaming them to Facebook and to YouTube, you can have branded borders. Something as simple as your reels, putting captions on them and make sure the captions are in your brand colors. And even beyond that, when I take time to record videos where I'm either doing professional video recording or doing it myself, I'll go get my makeup done just to take up that visual element. I will wear clothing that's within the colors of my branding. Those things just kind of take up your video branding and helps to make that instant connection. So that's the sixth piece around really thinking about your visual branding, is that video is going to be top notch, whether we're talking about reels, whether we're talking about you just recording a video or doing live streaming. That is an awesome place to be, and visually, boom, it gives them everything. They can hear you, see you, and experience your expertise more importantly. So the question that I have for you on the table today is, what does your current visual brand say about you? And I want you to, you can feel free to comment. I want to invite you to think about that. And also, is your visual identity and your visual branding working for you or working against you? Those are the questions today. All right. So we're going to be wrapping up again. Sharvette Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Productions. And we work with high achieving women entrepreneurs to help them position their expertise with a polished visual brand to gain more customers with their content marketing, to put their expertise in a book and do a book collaboration and get more money because they're getting more visible. And so One of the main ways that we do that is with our platform builder program. It is not open for enrollment right now, but you can jump over to the link that is pinned where you are watching or listening to this, and that link there will take you to platformbuilder.biz, where you can learn more about that program, and also just drop your email there to say, hey, let me know, when this is open for enrollment. I'd like to hear more about it. I like to hear more about it. All right, it is a wrap today. Thank you for those that are watching. Thank you for those that are listening. And I'd love, wherever you are engaging, even if you're listening to the podcast, there's a option where you can send a text message, and just let us know, like, what does your current visual branding say about you, and is it working for you or is it working against you? And certainly let us know which of these tips resonated with you and where you might go take some action for today. All right, it is a wrap. I'm Sharvette Mitchell. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all later on the web. Bye.